Our next story comes from America, where a few months ago, parents of 60 teenagers filed a lawsuit. Their children allegedly bought drugs via social media on apps like Facebook and Snapchat. Some of these drugs were fentanyl-laced pills. The teens overdosed, and some of them died. So yesterday, a fiery hearing was held in the US Senate, and drugs were not the only issue at hand. It was also about harmful messaging, online bullying, harassment, sexual exploitation, self-harm, and predatory marketing. The 7 plagues of social media. CEOs of 5 tech giants were present. They were questioned for almost 4 hours. The senators battered them. They accused the companies of failing to protect children on their platforms. And quote-unquote, having blood on their hands. But most of all, these 2 top bosses got the worst of their ire. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg and Snapchat CEO Evan Spiegel.
37% of teenage girls between 13 and 15 were exposed to unwanted nudity in a week on Instagram. You knew about it. Who did you fire?
Senator, this is why we're building all
Who
these
did you
different
fire?
tools. Senator, I don't think that's...
Who did you fire?
I'm not going to answer that.
Because you didn't fire anybody, right? You didn't take any significant
I don't
action.
think it's appropriate to talk about like
It's not
individual
appropriate.
HR decisions.
Do you know who's sitting behind you?
Senator, our job and what we take seriously is making sure that we build industry-leading tools, find harmful content,
make money.
take it off the services.
Have you apologized to the victims? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry for everything that you have all been through. It's terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
Tech giants are like the British monarchy. They acknowledge the loot and the slavery, but they refuse to apologize for it. And they fail to make amends. So Mark Zuckerberg's apology has gone viral, even if he was guilt-tripped into it. It was a grand gesture, great for the pictures. But what came out of this hearing? Nothing constructive. The big cats were grilled. Most of their answers were defensive. They were asked about their steps to protect children online, and their answers were lukewarm. The Kids Online Safety Act was discussed. This is a proposed law in America, the Kids Online Safety Act. It requires social media sites to prevent harm to minors. 3 out of 5 CEOs did not pledge their support to it. Did the top bosses of these mammoth tech giants even want to attend the hearing? Not particularly. 3 out of 5 were sent government-issued subpoenas. They were practically dragged to this hearing. It's a sad state of affairs, but it's not shocking. The Congress has held dozens of such hearings. But children's online safety has stagnated. At this point, everyone knows the problem. Not just parents and teachers, but policymakers as well. They know that there is a problem. This month, the New York City mayor classified social media as a public health hazard. He called it an environmental toxin. And he's not being extra. Look at these numbers. Child sex images are more widely available than ever. The content on online platforms grew from 32 million in 2022 to over 36 million last year. 36 million pornographic images of children. In fact, last year, New Mexico's Attorney General sued Meta. He called it the world's single largest marketplace for pedophiles. On top of this, social media is fueling a mental health crisis. 46% adolescents say that social media makes them feel worse about their body image. 64% are often exposed to hate-based content. This is concerning beyond measure, and the inability to take action over it is just as frustrating. Sure, tech giants are at fault, but demanding that they do better is an argument in bad faith. Big tech is like big tobacco, or the alcohol or gambling industry. Why would they set up guardrails for themselves? Their financial interest lies in keeping users on their platforms. 99% of Snapchat revenue comes from displaying ads to users. The figure for Meta is 98%. Screen time is their revenue stream. So kids suffer and social media profits, which is why the burden, the onus, is on governments. They have to acknowledge negative impacts of social media, create policies to regulate these companies, and make sure that children are protected. They have to ensure that tech giants sell their products in a way that protects vulnerable users. And this is exactly what public regulation is for. Our governments need to do better. So Mark Zuckerberg may have apologized, but this is not a hooray moment. The apology is not enough, far from it. We need laws, we need action, we need protection.